So without further ado, I'm really excited and pleased to introduce Rob Spencer. I loved the title of his talk, The Secrets That Sales Gurus Don't Want You to Know. So over to you, Rob. And if you've got any questions, you can keep them at the end. Rob, I'm sure, will answer them then. I think Rob's going to share his screen with us.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, Rachel.
No, that's fine.
Hello everyone, I'm just going to bring up my screen, so if it looks like I'm sticking my tongue out, it's because I'm concentrating and doing two things at once. But lovely to virtually meet you all, as it were. Got to say, fantastic group. I've been with Rachel since the start. I was actually talking to someone earlier, it was Mark actually, myself and Mark, who's here with us today. We were talking about how joining this group was actually our very first business expense. So it was our very first paid invoice. That's how far back we go. But look, I believe I've got half an hour, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm actually just going to put a little timer on, because what happens is I get so excited talking about sales that I overrun and I overgo, and I know that you guys are all busy, so I'm going to set a timer to keep it nice, short and sweet. So my name is Rob Spence, and this is a nice little short presentation. I'm going to keep it around 25 minutes to 20 minutes so we can have a good Q&A session at the end. I've entitled this Secrets That Sales Gurus Don't Want You to Know, because I don't know about you, but every single day I'm encouraged to buy a £10,000 course on how to become the next best salesperson and how to increase my sales to become a six-figure earner. And when you look into these things, a lot of sales and sales techniques are much easier than what these sales gurus don't want you to know. So just want to make sure, I'm assuming you can all see my screen because no one's piped up, and I'm seeing some nodding heads, so thank you very much. It goes without saying, and I'm whispering here, okay, that this is all top secret and confidential, okay? Because if the sales gurus catch on to the fact I'm telling you this, my quiff is gone, okay? It'll be a de-quiffing, okay? I'll be bequiffed. So please do, no, I'm happy for you to share this far and wide. The fundamental thing is nothing I'm going to tell you in this presentation is secret. None of it is a secret formula. All of it is just knowledge that I've acquired over the years, plus things that I put into practice day by day here at my business. So what are we actually going to cover today? Well, of course, who on earth is this guy? Who is Rob Spence? Why is he talking today? So I'm going to do a really brief, short introduction for you. We're going to talk about how sales is not a dirty word. The telephone is still very much alive. I know there's some great telephone and telesales artists within this room, so I'm actually quite nervous to present that part to you. The gatekeeper, quality over quantity, objections, how to handle objections when we're trying to sell something, and how to close, so closing for dummies. And then of course, like I said, the Q&A. So first things first, who on earth am I? Who is this guy? Who is this guy talking to us on a, I don't know about you, but it started hailing a moment ago. So on this fine, haily spring summer day. So my name is Rob Spence, and I'm the managing director of a company called Paragon Sales Solutions. Now, what we do is we are an all-round sales and marketing company. What we intend to do is to help you to get more leads, appointments, bookings, and sales, and we do that through an array of services. But how did I get here? Well, it was all a drunken mistake. No, it's not really. It's all planned out meticulously. So I started my career, well actually I started my career in a garden centre, weirdly, watering fuchsias for a living. I then joined Leicestershire Police, and I left there after a short stint. It wasn't really for me. I didn't really cut the bill, should we say. I then left the police and went into retail and retail sales, and then I joined a fine food company, and it's within this fine food company where I fell in love with sales. Now, to be fair, I'm following in my father's footsteps. My father was a salesperson. He was a sales manager for various large furniture outlets up and down, up and around the county. And like many salespeople, I fell into sales. I didn't wake up one day and go, do you know what I want to do? I want to be a salesman. I want to be the most hated guy in the world. I didn't wake up feeling like that. I didn't talk to my careers guidance advisor, counselor, whatever we call them at school, saying, I want to be a salesperson. I fell into it. And you know what? I absolutely loved and adored every single minute. And it was during this time in my sales career where I invested a lot of my time and my money into learning how to sell. My problem was that I was one of these naturally good salespeople, and I wanted to get to the bottom of why. So at home, you'll see on my bookcases are full of sales books, psychology books, business books. I wanted to get to the bottom of sales as an art. So within that company, I got promoted, and then I got promoted again to a UK sales and marketing manager. I published my first book, Relationship Selling, which conveniently, I don't know how this has happened, is positioned up here somewhere. I think that one there. And that led me to form the idea of Paragon Sales Solutions. I then quit my job. I quit a fairly decent career, a good salary, a good pension, everything like that to create business. Who would do that? During the time of setting up the business, I published the Paragon Mindset, which is my second book. And then a year later, A Month to Improve Your Sales came out, which is just positioned behind my shoulder. And now we've got a team of 6, soon to be 9 people here at Paragon HQ. We're actually just in the studio side of the office today. And here we are. So without further ado, shall we crack on? I'm already 5 minutes in. These things fly by. I hope it's flying by as quickly as it is for you, as it is for me. So this is not a secret. Sales is not a bad word. I don't know about you, but salespeople and the term sales comes with two reputations. One is that sales is hard work, it's scary, it's daunting. And don't get me wrong, it can be and is, but there's that connotation. But also, salespeople are known as being sleazy, manipulative, sweaty, greasy, all of these words. But the fundamental idea is that we've all got to remember that, and I'm guessing pretty much everyone within this virtual room here is a business owner or is a part of a business. And therefore, I hate to tell you this, you are a salesperson. Not only do you have to sell your products and your services to your customers, you've got to sell your ideas, and those ideas can go to your suppliers, to your colleagues, to anyone that wants to do any work with you. So everyone in this room is a salesperson. And that is the most exciting thing, because we all know that old famous saying, nothing happens until a sale is made. Everything in this room behind me was all sold at one stage. The computer that you're using right now to watch me was sold to you at some stage. So, I can't see everyone in the room while I'm sharing screen, so I won't do a show of hands, but who here, no, I won't ask the question actually. Whenever I present something like this, whenever I talk to anyone, they always say to me, Rob, isn't the telephone dead? Should I be sending emails? Should I be doing digital lead generation? Should I be sending LinkedIn requests? Should I join LinkedIn Sales Navigator? Should I do networking events? The telephone's dead, we shouldn't be using it to sell. Well, I'm here to challenge that. So here at Paragon HQ, we have a whole telemarketing department where every day we can make in excess of 200, 300, 400 calls outgoing per day. And I was doing some research earlier in preparation for this talk just to get the most recent statistics, and actually learned that 82% of buyers actually accept meetings when salespeople reach out. Now, as a salesperson, I'm a big believer that every salesperson needs a good array of tools to do their job. No different to that of a plumber, no different to that of an electrician. Every electrician has screwdrivers, hammers, tape. They've got, I was going to say wrenches, but I think that's more of a plumbing tool, isn't it? You see what I'm trying to say? They've got a whole array of tools. Doesn't mean they always use one tool. Sometimes a job might require 2 tools. Sometimes a job might require 3 tools. And if we are to neglect the telephone, then we are simply leaving a tool in our toolkit, which is going to be so fundamentally important during the sales process. Now, of course, whenever we think of telemarketing and telephone calls, we always think about those dreaded cold calls, right? We've all had them. I've probably had 2 this week where apparently I've been in an accident. Apparently, at some point, I've been in an accident and I forgot about it, but I've been in an accident. I think that's the kind of general idea that people get into their heads when they think about cold calling. And of course, that's the kind of negative, the naughty side to sales, right? With a telephone call, wherever you put it within your sales process, whether it's the initial cold call, whether it's to follow up with a lead, whether it's to follow up with a proposal, in my opinion, it's the most disruptive form of marketing that is available. Email marketing is fantastic and something we always recommend. However, an email can be deleted, an email can be forgotten, an email can be lost. Even today, Rachel sent me an email, immediately deleted it. Immediately. I knew, no, I didn't really, Rachel, don't worry. But an email can be lost. Same with a LinkedIn message. Same with a piece of direct mail. They can all get lost and misconstrued. But the second your telephone rings, you look at it, right? You at least look at it. You know that your phone is ringing. If it's a number you don't know, sometimes you might not want to pick up, but sometimes curiosity gets the better of you. You want to know who's ringing you. So you pick it up, you investigate, you start that conversation. It's very hard to ignore a ringing phone. But beyond that, once you engage in a conversation, the telephone call develops relationships way beyond that of the written word. Written word being direct mail, emails, messages, that kind of thing. A telephone call allows you to introduce your voice, your tone of voice. It can bring excitement to someone. It can be a lot more engaging simply by slowing my voice down now. I'm sure those of you that have started to switch off a little bit, as normally happens when I talk, have started to come back into the room. If I start to whisper like this, it makes you think I'm telling you something really exciting. Yeah? So you've got all these tones of voices, pitch, speed, everything that an email just cannot do. So what I urge you to do is, no matter as part of your sales process, start to think about how a telephone can be implemented within it. Like say, whether it be at the start of the sales process, whether it be to follow up, at some stage, pick up the phone. Now listen, we've all done it, we're all guilty. There is such a thing as sales call reluctance. Normally that sales call or cold calling gets to the bottom of the list, right? And we go, yeah, we're gonna hit the day, we're gonna make 10 telephone calls, and then, you know, something else comes up, I should probably do that before I do it. I don't wanna bother people. Set yourself some targets, get on the phone and develop relationships. I promise you, your accountant will thank you for it, I assure you. Moving on swiftly, and it falls in line with the whole line of telemarketing and cold calling, is the gatekeeper. And I hate that term, and I'll tell you for why. The gatekeeper is your friend. Now, for those of you that don't know what or who I'm talking about, the gatekeeper is normally the term labeled as the person picking up the phone. I hate the term the gatekeeper, simply because it kind of gives you that image of a ugly Hagrid style creature that's like, thou shalt not pass kind of thing. And I think it completely devalues the value of the gatekeeper. There's three key things here as to why the gatekeeper is your friend, or the person picking up is your friend. A, they're the keeper of all knowledge, they're your inside salesperson, and the gatekeeper could, in theory, be yourself. I still pick up, let's start on one. Let's not get ahead of yourself, Rob. So the keeper of all knowledge, I was talking to Abby, who does a lot of our telemarketing calls here, and we were talking about this topic. And what she said to me, and I wholeheartedly agree, is that the person picking up the phone holds so much knowledge that without getting to know that individual, that knowledge is going to stay hidden away in a chest that you're never going to get access to. For argument's sake, we could be doing a telemarketing campaign for Road Mic Direct, okay? If we pick up the telephone and just show that individual complete disrespect, try and get past them, try and manipulate them, try and worm our way past them like sleazy little salespeople, that individual is not going to tell me who I need to be talking to. That person's not going to tell me who the decision maker is. They're not going to tell me when the decision maker is back from lunch. They are the keeper to all knowledge. So treat them with respect, and with the right questioning, you could really get some juicy details to help you make a sale. One story I love to share is whenever you're selling anything, people get so caught up in trying to speak to the decision maker, they forget about everyone that surrounds the decision maker. So for argument's sake, picture the scene. Okay, when we first started Paragon Sales Solutions, one of my clients was an ice cream company. And one of my jobs, I used to love it, and you're going to understand why, was because I used to drive around with a freezer in my car and get ice cream customers for them. Restaurants, hotels, hospitality. I did put on a lot of weight around the same time. It could be to do with that. I don't really know. They do say you should never sample your own goods, right? But look, I'm a growing boy, okay? But what I used to do, and what I used to say to the other reps who used to work up and down the country, is give the receptionist or whoever you're talking to first ice cream samples. Get them on board. Get them tasting it. Get them to become fans of your company, your product, or your service. Because once you get them to fall in love with it, you've got someone on the inside who consistently will back you up. Picture the scene. If I let's say I walked into a hotel and the person on the reception said, oh no, the chef's too busy, he doesn't want to talk to you, and I just walked out, that's it, gone. No comeback from that. However, by giving that individual some ice cream and say, look, try that, taste it, I know chef's busy, look, here's my card, chat to him when you can, I'd love to have a conversation. They're going to eat that ice cream, their colleague's going to ask about the ice cream becomes spoken about even more. Now look, I know many of you are not selling ice cream. Great job, by the way, great gig. But whatever you are selling, if you get some people on the inside to sell on your behalf and do your job for you and become a fan of you, the rest becomes so much easier. Now also the final one is a key one for me. Respect when you're calling up anyone is absolutely key. I've seen some sales trainers on LinkedIn talk about how you should lie and manipulate and pressure the person picking up the phone to put you through to the decision maker. And I think it's horrendously wrong, because the person picking up the phone the person picking up the phone is my mum, my auntie, my sister, my dad, my brother, my cousin. It's a human being at the end of the day. So there's the ethical side of things. But also, if a salesperson called up and spoke to Emily in the office and I found out he was rude, obnoxious, tried to get past them, and then he tried to do business with me, there's no way I'm doing business with someone that's rude to my colleagues, to my team. I want to do business with someone who's respectful, who generally wants to do business with us for wanting to do business with us, not to make a quick bit of commission. So whenever you are calling anyone up, treat everyone like they are the decision maker. And over time, these relationships will nurture into pure sales success. Now, this one here, I don't want to name the big, large American sales guru, but there's a big, large sales guru. He's not large. I think he's got a large brand, I should say. I think he's an average size. I've never met him, but there's this whole amplification of sales. 10 times this, 9 times this, 5 times that. And I hope you know who I'm talking about, otherwise that makes no sense whatsoever. But the problem with sales, and especially a lot of these gurus, is that they say, oh, if you want to make more sales, you need to make 10 times more calls, you need to send 10 times more proposals, you need to send 10 times more emails. And of course, the law of average would suggest, yes, the more you do, the more you're going to get back. However, sales is always about quality over quantity. Develop stronger relationships with one person is far better than just sending and reeling off email after email, generic LinkedIn message after generic LinkedIn message is clearly copied and pasted. I don't know about you, but when someone's trying to do business with me, I want to do business with someone who actually, as I said earlier, wants to work with me, has taken the time to research me, has taken the time to understand my pain points, to understand what I could be struggling with, even if I'm not aware of it yet, to then find a solution. Otherwise, it's just like swiping right consistently on Tinder. Yeah, you might get some hits, but are you really going to try and find true love? I don't know. I've obviously never been on Tinder. I don't even know what Tinder is, obviously. Now, as well, I think one key thing, and I've put it here, the power of, I can never say it, so please don't laugh, but it's the power of reciprocity, that is just there on the screen, is absolutely key with sales. The more you give, the more you're going to give back, you're going to gain back. So never be afraid to go above and beyond. Understand what it is going to take to get your client and understand what their value is. If their lifetime value is worth £2,000 to you per year, per month, is it worth buying them a lovely pizza from Papa G's and sending it to them as a nice little gift? Is it worth sending them a handwritten card in the post? Is it worth buying them their favorite CD because you've researched them on LinkedIn, you've found out they love the Moody Blues, and so you've sent them a Moody Blues LP in the post? Is it worth doing that? I assure you the answer is normally yes. Now this here, I think we're still doing okay for time. Let me just check my timer, 17 minutes. We're doing okay, I think. This here is my favorite slide, okay? So as a salesperson, we're always going to get rejected. We're always going to hear objections, no matter what. Luckily, as a teenage boy, I was rejected an awful lot. So I've grown a thick skin and I can just get on with it, it's fine. But as a salesperson or as a business owner, you are always going to get objections, you're going to get knockbacks, you're going to get rebuttals. And all of that is amazing. A rebuttal or an objection can, in theory, become a very, very good buying signal if you're switched on and intelligent enough to turn the conversation around and question the objection. These 5 objections on your screen, and please feel free to take notes, screenshots, whatever. These are the 5 main reasons why a client or a prospect or a customer will not buy from you. So they might not have a need, there's no urgency, they don't have the money or the budget, no desire or no trust. Now, between you and I believe that the most important rejection, or the most important objection, I should say, in all of these is a lack of trust. We all buy from people we like, and normally, if someone's not trusting you, they will use another excuse because they don't want to say to you, listen, Rob, I don't trust you. I don't want to do business with you. It's far easier to say, I just don't have the money, I don't have the budget, I can't afford it right now. So whenever you're selling anything, get used to the fact that you're going to get an objection, you're going to get a knockback, but it doesn't mean no forever. A no just simply means not just now, or not just yet. Whenever you're closing the sale, which we're going to come on to in a minute, you will hear some kind of, I need to talk to my partner, I need to talk to my husband, I need to talk to my wife, I need to talk to, my business partner, or I just need to think about it, or yeah, do you know what, we're not with the budget for it right now, but maybe next quarter, maybe next quarter. You're always going to hear a question of an objection. Now, you as a salesperson, you've got to remember that you are more of a detective or a doctor than a salesperson. If someone comes back to you and objects to your proposition, to your proposal, never be too shy or afraid to question why. So for argument's sake, let's just pick out the good one. The most common objective you're going to get is, I need to think about it. Yeah, I'm sure everyone in the room is that, I need to think about it. So normally that stems from the fact that there's no urgency in your pitch. So normally, we could add in urgency as part of our sales and marketing strategy, limited spaces, or it's buy now or the price goes up, all that kind of thing. But for you as a salesperson, the key question you can then ask your prospect is to say, listen, I fully agree, I understand, look, what I propose to you is not a small decision to make. You do need to think about it, but just so I know as to what my next steps are, is there anything I can help you with in that thought process? Have I not explained anything properly? Is there anything that you think I've missed out on the proposal? Or do you feel that this is just not the complete fit for you? And then stay quiet. Lo and behold, your prospect, 8 times out of 10 is going to say, yeah, do you know what, Rob, actually, I'm not too sure about the flavour of ice creams you've just delivered to me. Oh no. Are you guys still there? My phone just started ringing. Can you still see my screen again? Rachel, give me a nod. Sorry about that. Sorry, let me, cool, I knew something was going to happen. There we go. So, yeah, Rob, look, I don't think the right flavours are here that you presented to me. Don't worry, Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect. Actually, we've got a full range of 100 flavours right here. Did you know we do flavour? What flavour are you looking for? If you continue the conversation, you're going to get more sales. If you allow a prospect to say no and to not move along with it, and just to hold steadfast and let them make the decision, you're not going to get any further. So always, no matter what objection, no matter what rebuttal, feel free. Don't just shrug your shoulders and go, they're probably a time waster anyway. Push forward and go ahead. Now, this is always the exciting bit of my presentations, because I talk about closing and everyone gets so excited. They think that I'm going to talk to you about the latest manipulation technique, the latest closed questioning. I'm going to sit here and convince you to buy all of my books behind me, which are available on Amazon, by the way. But for me, sales is not about that whatsoever. Closing the sale is very important. It's let's face it, it's the most important part of the sales process, or one of the most important parts of the sales process. But fundamentally, closing the sale is just no more than asking for the sale. I've been guilty of this so many times. I've sent a proposal, I've had a coffee meeting, I've done a physical meeting, a presentation, and I've not asked the client for the next steps. We've left it in their control. As a salesperson, as a business owner, it's up to you to persuade and convince your prospect that they need to make that decision there and then by asking for the sale. Your prospect's not willy-nilly going, hey, take my £2,000. I want to, I need this, that, and the other. You need to ask them for that. And although we're talking here about the sale, don't feel that it is just about the sale. Here we're talking about invite them to the next meeting. Or if you've sent an email proposal, ask the question of, when are you next available for a Zoom call to go over the proposal? Always look to take the next steps. The only closing technique that I truly recommend, and I think is absolute, above and beyond the most tried and tested, most wonderful closing technique the world has to offer, is the test close. Now, the test close is simply when you feel that your buyer is showing enough buying signals, so they're asking about prices, they're smiling, they're happy, is to simply ask a simple test question that's going to see if they're ready to take things further, see if they're ready to take things to the next step. I always label it as when we're learning to drive. They used to, what do they say? If you're entering a blind T-junction, you peep and creep, right? You peep and creep into the junction. You don't go full force into the junction, you peep and you creep, which now said 3 times makes it sound really creepy. So when you're recording this, Rachel, when you're editing it, please don't turn that into a quirky little soundbite, okay? But you need to peep and creep, okay? So by the test close, it'll be as simple as, and sorry to pick on you here, Rachel, it's just because I've got you on my screen, but I'd ask the question of, so Rachel, from everything I've proposed to you so far, can you see this fitting in your home? Or do you see that this could actually solve those problems you're facing within your business? Or how much time do you think that would save you and your team? By asking a test close, you can then gauge where the prospect is along their decision-making process, and then you can either represent and go over some of the key questions that they may have, or you can simply go ahead and close the sale. So that's, what a lovely photo that is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my presentation there. We've blasted out a lot in the past 25 minutes. Look at that, 25 minutes, bang on. And we had a slight interruption. I do want to open up the floor to a Q&A, if that's okay, Rachel. Have we got enough time?
Yep, no problem.
I'm going to stop sharing because then I can see all of your faces and so on. So the floor is yours. I don't know if there's been any chats, comments or anything, but the floor is yours if you want to ask any questions.
Can you can you wave like this so we can find you? Yes, Garfield.
I thought you meant me then, Rachel.
No, well, everybody can wave, but ideally if you want to say something, it's a lot easier for me to find you. Go on, go ahead, Garfield.
Hi, Rob. You all right?
Yeah, good to meet you. Well, virtually finally, Garfield. How are you doing, sir? You okay?
Yeah. Like passing ships, eh? Yeah, I must say, A Month to Improve Your Sales, good read. I'm only halfway through it, but I've picked up some good points. But my one, I've been in telesales, with Centrica, BT on, oops.
Where's he gone?
I could have handled that. You don't have to kick him out, Rachel. I could have handled that question.
I don't know. Well, while we wait for him to come back from wherever he's gone to.
No, he's a Manchester United supporter. Get rid of him.
Well, yeah, I didn't do that on purpose, Chris, honestly. So, would anybody else like to ask a question while we wait for him to come back in? Oh, he's coming back in. I've got him, I think.
Can I just make an observation very quickly? I really enjoyed that, Rob. And gosh, there are so many points there. And actually organising, making those phone calls, first of all, is really important. But also asking that question at the end, isn't it? What I do, does it fit in with you as a client? Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Garfield, are you back now?
Yeah, my phone. Sorry.
Good to you. We're still waiting for your question.
Yeah, no. I've done telesales for many years, over 20 years, and out of all the, I don't like to call them gatekeepers. I like to call them, wannabe directors or decision makers. But the one industry I can never get past without a struggle is a doctor's surgery or healthcare place where you get the receptionist who 9 times out of 10, they like a bit of power. They come across like they like to know everything, and I just can't get by. So I don't know if there's any feedback you could give me with regards to getting past.
It's a good question, a tough one, because I can't even get an appointment at my doctor's surgery because the gatekeepers are so good. But for me, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think whoever's picking up the phone, there's a lot of power entrusted in them by the main decision maker, and I think yes, sometimes that power can get to their head, but sometimes they're going to get a lot of grief further down the line if they do, let you through. So what my tact, and full transparency, I've never tried it, maybe it's something we need to put to the test, but I would give them the power. I would get them involved in the sales process. I would send them a gift. I would send them all the marketing material. I'd make them become, in my head, the decision maker. I'd put all my focus on them, and then turn them into that inside salesperson. But it'll be intriguing to see if we get a campaign where we can put that theory to the test, really.
But how many times would you try an awkward, I don't want to call them gatekeeper, a wannabe decision maker? How many times would you try with them if they were just like, she's not in, they're not in, no?
And to be honest, until the police are knocking at my door for harassment, to be honest. No, I think you can always gauge it with some people. Sometimes you've just got to give up. Sometimes there's no ifs or buts about it, you do have to give up. But I would do my hardest to win them over. I'd get to know them. I'd want to find out what their dog was called. I'd want to get to know them so I could develop that relationship, and just trying at different times of the day, different days of the week, maybe getting...
Well, my tip to get past the gatekeeper is, as soon as they answer the phone, the majority of companies that I'm ringing for my clients say their name when they answer. And the thing I do every single time is catch that name and write it down. And on my notes, on my CRM database, whatever my clients are using, I've got one client who didn't see the importance of my long-winded notes, but I called and spoke to Flossie. She isn't the decision maker. She's way down the list of the decision maker. A lot of the companies I'm ringing, she is literally the receptionist. But it means that the next time you call, I can say, "Oh, hi, is that Amy?" And if you've got their name and they can remember you, that's my tip, Garfield, as to how many times I try. And very often I will never get put through. Rob probably has this, but you never get put through that decision. And some of them you'll never get that far. But if you can note down Flossie's name from the very first contact you have with her, then that's a really good way to get him further down the line, I find, with getting past that gatekeeper, no matter how big the size of the company.
So hi Flossie, we spoke last week. You told me to call back today.
To develop that relationship, I think it's very important.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
Anybody got any more questions? Do you need to wave yes, Ben?
Thanks. I thought it was really good, Rob. Thanks very much. It's funny when you're talking about rejections, because I just actually had an email with a rejection today, with pretty much one of those ones on there. So I'll be certainly following that up. But it's funny, I actually get flustered when people want to buy without a rejection. I say, yeah, that sounds great, let's go ahead. And I'm like, I'm almost thinking, are you sure? I just need to go through all the, and I get too flustered so I almost make it more difficult for myself. But I do have a question. So the question is it worth, before you call someone, connecting with them on LinkedIn or sending an email first and developing some kind of like small pre-connection relationship thing so that they're aware of you before you try and get to speak to them?
Yeah, 100%. There's different techniques. I've got to say just quickly as well, your lock screen kept confusing me. I kept thinking you were putting your thumbs up to me, and it was like your be right back screen. I was like, yeah, I can see you, Ben. I can see you. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's how we kind of implement our sales processes is it's no different to marketing to a degree in advertising, where we think about all those touch points. We kind of work on 7 to 12 touch points. So those touch points can be a telephone call, an email, a flyer, a piece of direct mail, another telephone call, all these touch points. So over time, you're kind of getting yourself into the head. To be honest, it all depends, on the sector. It does require a lot of testing. Sometimes we find it's better to call up first, send over the email, the LinkedIn, whatever you want to do, and then call them up again. Or we've worked with some clients who will send a piece of direct mail, like an ebook or a flyer, and then we make the telephone call. But for me, I think as long as one phone call it's not, unfortunately, the Wolf of Wall Street is not real to a degree. It's not, the days of closing a sale in one call are long gone. So as long as you've got those touch points, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter in what order they happen. Really. But good question, certainly. Yeah, I think it's just testing, really.
Okay, Fab, we've got time for one more question, I think. Has anybody got anything that they want to ask slightly questionable. But one thing I need to say, Rob, is can you put the names of your books in the chat thing so we can find them in Amazon?
I'm sure I can do that.
You can do that, because I'm sure those people that haven't read your books would be great. I mean, either the Amazon link or just the name so people can search them. That would be great. Garfield is doing that. Is that because you want to speak, Garfield? Oh, and so does Mark. So go to Mark first. I'll come back to you, Garfield. Go, Mark.
Just a quick one, Garfield. I would say I've read 3 of Rob's books, all of which are very, very good, particularly A Month to Improve Your Sales, which is a fantastic book, Rob. Genuinely, it is a very good book.
I'll give you that $5 later, Mark.
And Garfield, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a quick one, Rob. So obviously, in your sales career, you always, when you speak about objection handling, etc., and sometimes you get to a point where you can dial all day, get knocked back, and then sometimes it's only human to start doubting your abilities. And has your whole career been a fluke by people saying yes? How do you deal with objection if you have a really bad day and you don't get no sales, no DM contacts? How would you deal with that?
I think that will differ person to person. For me, there's a lot of things I do. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm like Ben, and Ben's using a stand-up desk, I believe. No, he is, yeah. So I use a stand-up desk because it makes you feel a lot more powerful, makes you feel a lot more energetic. There's that TED talk, isn't there, about the power stance? So I like to do that a lot. So it's a good job I've not got sweaty pits, isn't it? Sorry. So I like to stand up a lot, which helps. I do on occasion. It sounds very, very vain, but I like to keep a mirror in front of me because it reminds me, it kind of grounds me the fact of what I'm doing. It helps me check my emotions. I like to, sometimes you have to go for a walk, go stretch your legs, get some air. Emotional intelligence when it comes to telesales in particular, and sales as a whole, is very important because you are going to get knockbacks, but at the same time, sometimes you can get so high on excitement and jubilation, you ruin the next load of calls because you're so high on life. So I think it's just up to you as an individual to find what's going to ground you, and there's some incredible people in this room I know who can help with all that as well. So I think it's just person to person.
Can I just reply, because when I worked at Centrica, the top sellers, including me, went down. Have you heard of Paul McKenna?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we went down and did a lot of mind stuff. And since he mentioned about the bag of stones being customers and a gold nugget is in there, that's how I deal with it now. Because I know if you keep plucking away, you're gonna come across that nugget. So that did help me, but I didn't know if you had a different way. I might try the mirror one.
Yeah. It does. It just reminds me what emotion you're displaying on the face. It helps you keep grounding.
Okay, well, I'd just like to say a huge thank you, Rob. That was really, really useful, but also highly entertaining. And thank you for the plug for Papa G's, which is one of my businesses, selling pizzas. Thank you, Rob.